Welcome to More For Me by yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on with you? What's good? I have a secret that I want to share with you, but I don't think I should because it is unnecessary. It is not a secret. Uh, Yo, my producer, I was sitting here waxing eloquently, spitting bars. He forgot to press record. Yikes. But you know what? God is good. He's amazing. And he's growing inside of me because I didn't even get mad. I just chuckled. Burned some calories. Welcome to the show. What's going on this week? I pray that all is well with you. If this is your first time joining us here on the Homieship in the studio, we welcome you. If this is not your first time, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Either way, it is a privilege and an honor for you to join me here in the studio. I appreciate it and love hanging out with my homies. What's going on for this week? Well, as I was planning and preparing in terms of, hey, what will we discuss this week? What will I share? What's on my heart? I realized, I'm like, I low-key been talking about the mental quite a bit lately. Not directly, but indirectly. So today, we're going to take that thing head on, the mental. Let's dig into our minds. Really my mind, right? We look at pieces and parts of my journey and pray that you receive something that resonates with you, whether you are challenged or encouraged to do something different, think differently, or even just reflect on your own life and see where you are so that you can move in a way that honors God and that you are propelled on your journey towards the destination of more that God has for you, taking on each and everything that we experience as an opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. Having said that, today, have you ever heard that saying? Matter of fact, I know you've heard that saying, that your mind is a battlefield. Now, I've heard the saying a lot, but it is rather recent that I have come to understand exactly what that saying means. There are a lot of things that I hear and am familiar with, and let's be honest, I have no idea what they mean. Your mind is a battlefield is kind of one of those things. Thinking about I was listening to a song, Ultralight Beam. It's on Sunday Service Choir's album. A couple years old, but it's still super dope. Ultralight Beam, man. I remember when the song came out, I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, I'm loving the beat. I'm feeling the vibe. This is what's up. I asked my homie, I'm like, what does this song mean? He breaks it down like he does. I'm like, that's what's up. I hear what he says, but I don't really receive it because I move on. I'm like, I don't really get what this song means. But sometimes you have to experience something in a way there's a perspective shift and or just something changes and a thing can hit differently and its meaning be revealed to you and you understand it. And that's what happened a couple weeks ago. I was listening to Ultralight Beam and it was like light bulb. I was like, yo, I get it. This song is super dope. Not just the beat, but the meaning, the words. I am feeling this, and your girl is on an ultralight beam, stepping out on faith. Come on, somebody. So that's one of those things where it's like, didn't know what it means, but hey, you can move to a position or a point where you actually do understand the meaning of it. Let's get back to that. Your mind is a battlefield. What does that mean? So previously, like you hear it, and it's kind of like, you shrug it off and keep it moving. Like, I don't really know what that means. Like, are there little minions waging war? There are two sides, turf wars. Like, what exactly going on? Are there mines set up along the way and you take a wrong step, something's going to blow up, explode? I have no idea. What exactly does this mean? Well, the past couple weeks, I figured it out. I know what it means, right? That there are things, for me at least, this is how it came to be, that sometimes that there will be a thought that I have that I don't want, I don't like. Like, I don't want to think about that thing. It's not something I want to meditate on or focus on, but I can't get it out of my mind. It's like I can't shake that thing. Sometimes there are things that I want to stick and to be prevalent, and they just won't stick. They just won't stay. Whether or not it might be something somebody said, something somebody did, something that happened to me, and I find myself battling between what is playing out in my mind, what I want to be playing out in my mind, and where I am going based upon what I'm thinking. That's me. My my clear as mud way of explaining what I've come to understand as your mind is a battlefield. And as I think about like the past couple of weeks, a tangible example to share with you guys, we had a loss in our family this past week. And when I got the news, of course, there's devastation and sadness associated with someone dying and transitioning from this earth. And then I began to think about, hey, the impact that it has on those that I love that are left behind. And then I knew right away, I'm like, okay, at the appropriate hour, I need to reach out and connect with my family and ensure that they know that, hey, we're here, we love you, we support you, and whatever it is that you need. And so at the appropriate time, I made that connection. I shared that message, and then I began to proceed with my day. I then realized that what began as a good week, happy, things going well, like real good, like strong, solid week. I'm loving it. Like it was like nosedive. And I'm like, this day is stinking up the place. It's a crapper. And I felt heavy. Little things and big things alike were like really frustrating, and even little things, they seemed really heavy. And I felt like my stress levels increasing and like feeling them overwhelmed and so on was coming on me. And I'm like, what's going on? What is going on here? And it wasn't really until I began to discuss with a few people and try to like call out like, I'm feeling like this. This is weird. It's not necessarily making sense what's going on. Well, there was a battle in my mind that there were emotions, heavy emotions that I had the opportunity to experience. And I connected with them like briefly, but then I tried to keep it moving, keep going. And so this grief that I needed to address and deal with head on, I wasn't. And indirectly, I was picking up other stuff and just creating intense and stressful situations. But not even consciously doing it, but just looking up and being like, my day sucks. This is really terrible. What's going on? And not really being able to find that, at least not right away, find that place where I was mentally at peace and or at least in control enough to proceed throughout the day in a reasonably logical way, which is generally how I roll. But like I have this thought that I'm addressing but not addressing, and then I continue to move on and things arise, which kind of may be issues, but they're not issues at the moment. I am just making something of them. And I realize in conversation with homies and my loving husband that, there's something more to discover, and there's more support that I need in this, right? So the mind is a battlefield. Something's happening that is outside of my control, and it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense in a way. I hope that makes sense. But so I'm like, okay, talking to, like I said, a few homies, and we end up talking about counseling, right? If you've been listening for any amount of time, I've talked about counseling before, that I have tried it, that I needed to dip my big toe back in that water and test that out and find a counselor that I felt cool or comfortable swimming with. Random analogy there, but that I needed to seek out a new counselor. So I went back to look and say, man, I know I did that last year. What came of it? I know I didn't have a session, but I look at my email and I'm like, man, like literally almost a year ago this time, I was trying to connect with 2 counselors in my area to have a session. I never followed through with that. And so I'm like, this time I think I really need to follow through, right? Because this battlefield in my mind, this is becoming a little bit more complicated than your girl can take on by herself, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with receiving this type of support. I definitely believe that, but I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, hey, homies, hey, this is an option, you should try it, and then not be willing to try it when I think that I might need it. interestingly enough, I've heard it said by several doctors, and it makes sense to me. Like, the mind is one of the only things that we don't take care of in the same manner we do for the rest of our bodies, right? Once a year, you go into your primary care physician for your general health. If you are a female, then you are annually also going to a specialized doctor to take care of your lady parts. If you are pregnant, then you go to a specialized doctor more for that. Once you hit a certain age as a female, then there are other specialized doctors you go to take care of different parts of your body, to do like mammograms and these different types of exams. If you are in any way, shape, or form into oral health, you go to the dentist like twice a year to get your teeth cleaned, at least, and just an overall checkup. So like literally you go to the eye doctor at least once a year. Like, so your eyes, your heart, your ears, like all these parts of your body, like you got to get physicals to play sports and stuff. Like, so you'll take care of that. But our mental, we don't do anything to check out and say, hey, is everything good? Why is that? I don't know the answer, but I do want to encourage you to do what I'm doing and seek out that type of help. That it's not necessarily that we need to be reactive, but that we can be proactive. And so I reached out to one of the same counselors and a new one that was recommended to me. But your girl is really committed in this season to connecting with somebody to have conversations that I need to have, or maybe I don't even know I need to have. But even if the person is like, you're super good, I'm like, bet. Well, let's set some frequency where I'm going to check back in with you to make sure that everything is still good and that it's okay, it's acceptable, and it's highly encouraged and appreciated for us to take care of our mental. Whether or not you feel like your mind is a battlefield or not, it is not going to hurt, right? I'm not that person who is like, I don't feel sick, I don't need to go to the doctor. I'll go if I have to. No. I go proactively to make sure that everything is good, because there's certain things that I'm not aware of, right? Checking my pulse, cholesterol levels, and this and this and that. There are different things that the doctor will be able to, because it's specialized, right? They go to school, they have a, a level of understanding that we don't, so that they can dig into that thing. So really just sharing the importance of taking care of our mental. Whether or not you've received it and you felt it, you've had the struggle of like, I can't shake this thought. Like there's some type of battle going on in my mind. And I need help getting through that, right? Navigating those waters. So what kind of tools and resources and support do I need in order to get through that? I'm still walking through it. I'm still figuring out exactly what that looks like for me. But I am very much so committed to ensuring that as I journey towards this destination and more that God has for me, that I would like to do so with the appropriate resources and support. So like you're traveling along your journey, right? You got your roadside emergency kit. You might have water in the car. You have rest stops along the way that you might need to hit up. And so whatever that looks like in your life, in every aspect, you want to make sure you have that. And I think for everyone, that should be some type of mental checkup to ensure that the mind in our battlefield is not the mind in our battlefield. That was backwards. The battlefield in our mind is not full of little bombs that if you make the wrong step, that it could blow up and everything could be over at any minute. We're definitely not trying to get to that point. So as I seek to become a healthier version of myself, the best me that I can be, who God truly created me to be, I am adding mental to my checklist of things that I want to steward well. So that's all this week, guys. Head on, no beating around the bush. It's important. Take care of your mental. If you feel the need, talk to somebody. There are tons of resources, whether it's an emergency and you need to call a crisis line, or you can just phone a friend and or take your time to find a counselor. Thanks to COVID, digital is a prevalent way of making connections. So if you're not able to go in person, there are tons of resources and outlets out there that provide to you an opportunity to virtually connect with a professional, somebody that can provide you the necessary assistance that you need. I hope that this resonates with you. And if you know that somebody else needs to hear this and or be encouraged, remember, we journey together every week so that you remember that you are not alone. You're not different. You're not weird. Everybody goes through, whether or not you have the courage to share and say that thing out loud. That's the only difference. But go ahead and make the moves that you need to for you. In the meantime, in between time, I hope to see you back here next week. Same mode, same time, same place. And remember, God has more for me. God has more for you. Now let's get it. Take care.